Mandatos informales, that means informal mandates, or as I like to call them, two commands. So, two commands. First off, what is a command? And then what is a to command? So, a command is if you're telling somebody to do something or not to do something. So, and this has got to be somebody who I would call to. So, if I want to say, hey, you, give me that. That's a command. Call me later. Look over there. Look at this picture. You use commands all day long. You just don't think about it because you already know the language that you're speaking. So positive commands, if you are talking again to someone who you're on a first name basis with, someone who you would call to. So to tell them to do something, you're going to use the third person singular form of the verb. So if I want to say, hey, speak with your mom. So to speak is hablar. When I say third person singular, what I mean is, okay, hablo is first person singular, hablas is second person singular, habla is third person singular. So you're going to go with that third person singular conjugation. So hablar is to speak. So if I want to say, hey, you, speak with your mom, I'm going to say, habla con tu madre. Speak with your mom. Or if I want to say, eat your vegetables, it's really simple. What's the third person conjugation of the verb comer? And again, that's the third person, the third one on the left. So we'll say, come tus verduras. If I want to say, open the window, to open is abrir. So third person singular, abro, abres, abre la ventana. So that's really all there is to it. Now you do have to be careful if your verb is a stem change verb. Let's see, let's get another page here. If your verb is a stem change verb, you've got to be really careful because the verb dormir, let's say I want to say, hey, sleep well. So dormir is to sleep. It happens to be an O-to-E stem change verb. So if you're supposed to use the third person singular, you've got to be aware of those stem changes. So in this case, it would be duerme. So duerme bien is how I tell you, hey you, sleep well. Duerme bien. So you do have to be careful if it's a stem change verb. So let's go back up here. Some exceptions. These are the ones that you just have to memorize. So decir, the third person conjugation is dice. That is not the to command. It's di. If you want to tell somebody to tell the truth, di la verdad. Hacer is to do or to make. As with a Z is the positive to command. Ir is to go. They is the positive to command. Poner is to put. Pon is the positive to command. Put that over there. Ponlo allí. Salir is to leave or to go out. Sal is the positive to conjugation. So if I want to say, hey, you, leave, sal. Just sal. That's it. Ser is to be. So if I want to tell you to be, I'm going to go with se. Tener is to have. So if I want to tell you to have something, I'm going to go with ten. Venir is to come. Ven, come here, ven acá. So those are just the ones you have to memorize. That's the bad news. So memorize those. So one more time, positive to commands. They're different from negative to commands, but for the positive twos, it is just the third person singular. Make sure you know the exceptions here and be careful with stem change verbs. All right, negative to commands. So these are a little bit different, but with negative to commands, these are to tell somebody not to do something. So this one actually has a few steps to it. The first step, you've got to come up with the yo conjugation. So for regular verbs, that's pretty simple. Take off the AR, ER, IR, add an O. You guys are really familiar with that. But you also have to be able to do that with irregular verbs. So tener, it's tango. Dormir is duermo. So you've got this spelling change and the stem change here that you've got to be aware of. So then step 2, take off the O from those verbs. So then that leaves you with your stem here. So that looks pretty normal for these 3 regular verbs. Again, tener and dormir having a spelling change and a stem change. You've got to be aware of those. So then step 3, if it's an AR verb, like hablar, then you're going to add ES, hables. Now again, this is a negative command. So if I want to tell you, hey, speak Spanish, I'm going to do the third person singular. Habla español. If I want to say don't speak Spanish, I'm going to put no in front of it. No hables español. So these would all have no in front of them. Now, leer is an ER verb, so if it's an ER or IR verb, add AS. So, no leas, don't read. No compartas, don't share. No tengas, don't have. Hang on, Betty. No duermas, don't sleep. So, it's just opposite endings, all right? So, let's look at these. Don't eat the cookies. Again, don't put no in front of it. The verb is comer. It's an ER, so you put AS is the ending there. And then the cookies, las galletas. Don't put your elbows on the table. This one is tricky to put, is poner. Now, if it were a positive command, it would be pon. But this is a negative command. So for negative commands, you've got to come up with the yo. So the yo for poner is pongo. And then take off the O. And then it's an ER verb, so we're going to add AS for the ending. No pongas. To say don't speak English, no. And then to speak is hablar. It's an AR verb. So I'm going to add ES. Don't sleep so late. Again, no. And then sleep. I've already talked about this one today. Dormir is an O-T-U-E verb. So the O is duermo. So I'm going to keep that stem change. It's an IR verb, so I'm going to add an AS. So that is how you do a negative command. So if you still don't quite get it, there are some notes in Voces. Open up your table of contents, go to chapter 14, and then Mandatos Informales has some notes on there. It's got the negative commands listed on there. I'm sure there's also a video in there. YouTube is your friend. If you are still confused, I will be video conferencing every school day, and